If you've ever seen or played a platformer from the early to mid 2000s, then it shouldn't surprise you that Spongebob, Battle for Bikini Bottom, has a ton of coins, or shiny objects, to collect. They're a staple of the Bing Bang Wahoo genre, pioneered by that fat Italian guy a while ago. But you see, when attempting to complete a no-coin challenge, Spongebob is uniquely difficult, because it was also made for baby boom boom gamers, so the game loves giving you free money. Anytime any money is created, either because an enemy dies because of an explosion you didn't cause, or a G-Love was trying to hurt you and destroyed boxes, the spawned money hunts you down and is immediately given to you. So that, alongside a second reason, is why this is a minimum shiny objects challenge, not a no shiny objects challenge. And also because otherwise, I wouldn't be able to play the game at all. The very first area traps you behind a 1 spatula door, and the only spatula in SpongeBob's house is behind a 50 shiny objects door. Is it possible to clip past it? Probably, but not that I know of, so that's the reason for the minimum. But outside of that, there are no rules. I can do or use anything in my toolkit to get to the end. Also, I want to say that I did in fact use save states religiously. It was mostly a time-saving thing, to walk back any money I failed to dodge. It is possible to revert to before you collected money by quitting immediately, but while I did that for a bit, it was insanely time-consuming, and I wanted to try getting this video out since my last SpongeBob did pretty good. Additionally, this wasn't like a what is the minimum I can collect, it's trying to find a hypothetical total minimum, you know? If you think that invalidates the run, I mean, you're not entirely wrong, but regardless, time to jump into this and show you the nonsense I had to do to get as far as I did. I carefully collect the 50 required shiny objects, and then I slip into Bikini Bottom proper, mourning the 1 sock I'll never acquire, since it's behind 2 different paywall doors. And I'm not desperate enough to collect a bunch of money just to get a single sock. Maybe if it was a spatula, but not a sock. I take a trip over to Squidward's place, and while I can't get the sock since that requires destroying the tikis, I can jump in place to get a spatula. I, however, cannot exit his house since that spawns me right on a shiny object. The same thing with Patrick's house, and since I can't crush the boxes to activate the first platform, I can't get the spatula atop my house. All I can do now is collect the sock that Patrick is standing on and head to Jellyfish Fields, and hope to have better poverty-based luck here. Starting off, I head off to the side to grab another sock for Pat, before I'm blocked by another monetary gate. This really sucks, and so I tried to find a way to skip past it, but nothing I tried could go the distance. There is a trick in tool-assisted speedruns where you can get launched by an enemy and then head bash to clear the gap, but I don't actually know if that's humanly possible. There's no way for me to cross the gap otherwise, even at the river's thinnest. I can't platform across the poles since they have no collision, and the enemies wouldn't smack me across the gap, or even attack me if I was near the edges. This meant that I was forced to get the 125 shiny objects to clear the path, but I could be smarter about this instead of just grinding random enemies. Going back to Bikini Bottom proper, I grabbed the spatula and sock from Squidward's house, the one atop the pineapple, the sock in Pat's house, and the random shiny objects around town, nabbing me 2 socks, 2 spatulas, and the 125 necessary shiny objects. That did hurt, but hopefully I don't need to get too much more. Hopefully. After purchasing the bridge, I look around for opportunities, but I don't really have much. The button that leads out to the island, shiny object atop it. The bouncy platform to get the sock out on the lake early. Not only do I need to destroy at least 1 tiki to get on it, but the bounce path itself is covered in shiny objects. Heck, even the bungee mission, I can't grab it because the drop is littered with money, so that option is entirely off limits. The path ahead, however, is very tedious. The platforms have a single shiny object on each, and while each money can be avoided, SpongeBob really wants to grab them, so many resets were had here as the Bob just loved grabbing money. Generally speaking, hop onto the right edge of the platform, since it seems like there's more space to land there. Continuing forward and over, I reach the bouncy tree things. It is possible to bounce on them without grabbing the money, but it is a very tight landing. With the proper alignments, I can nab me a sock for completely free, and can run across the platform to... Where did this money come from? This is part of the reason I wanted to tear my hair out over this challenge run. Meet the Hammer Bros. These guys run towards the player and slam their hammer down, and when they're in aggro mode, they have no sense of self-preservation, as they will not stop charging towards the player no matter the difference in height or if something is in their path, including a lake which instantly destroys them and rewards the player with 25 free shiny objects. And as far as I can tell, you can't get across the bridge, and thus to the rest of the level, without destroying at least one robot. Sometimes I even lured multiple robots to their death in trying to avoid the singular one. I tried sneaking, using the bounce panel, running as fast as physically possible, but no, nothing stops them from killing themselves. Not even heading up, grabbing a sock, and luring them away from the river that kills them works forever. Eventually I just gave up and accepted the 25, which doubly sucks, since immediately after, I have to destroy a duplicator machine in order to press a button and progress. So the first area is done, with 75 shiny objects collected. Also, don't die immediately after, since while the robot respawns, you don't refund the money, so try to die as minimally as possible. The slide down to Patrick is incredibly boring, though I was able to get the sock without breaking a single box, until I reach the end of the slide and am forced to destroy every single box here, rewarding me with 25 shiny objects, and then the combo bonus giving me another 20. Can't the world just accept my minimalist way of life? I was able to collect the sock atop the tower, but now it's time for an old enemy of mine, the Patrick's Dilemma Arena, and shiny objects on tiny platforms. The two smaller buttons are easy enough to reach, but the third one, of course, has to give me difficulties, what with the very small platforms and the very easily grabbed shiny objects. Many legit hours of my life were wasted here, trying to get this single button pressed, especially since even if I complete the jumps and press the third button, I have to then jump across some of these platforms again in order to reach Patrick and claim my reward. Then my game crashed because I guess SpongeBob smacking this button is just illegal or something. Then I send Patrick off to the caves to start looking for some good stuff. Oh, I made a mistake here. While running through this cave here, I platformed along like normal, but didn't notice this shiny object grab right here until way later. Upon learning this, I realized that I needed to turn my music all the way down to make sure I never made a mistake like this again, and will mark it down that while my final total will be too higher than my assumed minimum, it is possible to get through here with minimal coinage, since you can throw a throw fruit onto the spikes, then leap over the wall of tikis instead of destroying them, leaving you monetarily secured in your brokenness. I can't complete Mrs. Puff's quest, so instead, SpongeBob treks on looking for more stuff I can grab and use later. Like, a literal roadblock. Even if I found a way over the wall, there's a shell in there that demands 2,000 shiny objects just to keep going. I can excuse 125 coin bridges, but 2,000? Yeah, no. We're going to downtown Bikini Bottom. The second the mission begins, I run off to grab a few wheels and the sock in the ruined building. This is my 10th sock actually, meaning I can get a spatula once I return to the main area from Patrick. I move through the level with minimal issues, but in order to get literally anywhere in the level, I have to explode this tiki and get 15 shiny objects in order to spawn in the car and jump across it and the gap to access the rest of the level. As long as you're not stupid, you can also get the sock on the floating platforms, but getting through the hole is a different story entirely. I tried to jump it, I tried getting launched through it, I tried head bashing through it, and as far as I'm aware, you need to collect at least one shiny object in order to launch off the ramp and access the rooftops with Sandy. The jumps are pretty easy, especially if you're like me and are so cool you can skip over most of the level with her lasso and reach the 6th spatula. Once on the rooftops, SpongeBob can collect a sock for us, and I can now use this checkpoint when jumping around the rooftops, collecting a wheel and 2 socks, before the game spits in my face once again. In order to progress further in the game, which we need to do, we need at least 3 spatulas and a pat spat to make it to Goo Lagoon. Otherwise, the run is dead. But to do that, I have to cross this building. But whenever I get across a certain threshold, I'm teleported into place for a cutscene, which spawns me on top of a shiny object, meaning I collect it. Quite literally, inescapably, I'm forced to collect another 2-coin shiny object. Then, to access the rest of the level, I have to kill this enemy, as there's no way to get high enough to lasso onto the roofs without climbing onto the platform that's created by killing this guy. Another shame, really. I was doing so good. Plus, he drops a whopping 40 shiny objects for killing him. That's enough for, like, almost 7 one-topping pizzas from Little Caesars. This guy is forcing me to be loaded. Thankfully, now I can be crazy with Sandy's movement, grabbing another wheel and leaping over the rooftops. I can't access the secret path for the rooftop spatula, but I can backtrack and grab a wheel and a sock. Honestly, I kind of bounced all over the place instead of following a strict linear path, because it was just so nice to explore and nab whatever I needed. I grab another wheel and the main spatula, the sock behind the tower, and then I'm faced with a predicament. I'm out of spatula opportunities, but I can't access Goo Lagoon yet, and I still need 2 more spatulas. So what's a man to do? Simple. Lock in. The lighthouse ambush may be hard, if you're not absolutely perfect with it. Instead of letting the duplicators spawn more enemies, you just have to smack them on your way down. So before they can spawn anything in, you smack them and they die. This is a problem because they spawn right as you touch down. So what I had to do was memorize the locations and fight against the ever-rotating floor. The first is right in front of you, the second immediately below it, and then they rotate along the wall clockwise. You need to make sure you don't kill anything that spawns in super quickly, otherwise you'll combo and get additional money that you don't need. You have to fight against the spinning floor for some of them, but don't let that seem like a huge obstacle. But after much trial and error, I got this run. Which is kind of unfortunate that I must say the bottom layer stinks. The final layer has 2 different duplicators, and if either one is alive, they'll spawn in everything. Still though, I was able to beat the entire level, getting a spatula, a sock, and a wheel for a grand total of 454 shiny objects. Almost enough for a PS5, but whatever, we take those. Plenty of rewards, but still not enough. Where do we grab the last spatula? We can't get the last few wheels, since they're in the Sea Needle, and we can't get to the Sea Needle. You know what? Whatever. I'm going to do AI's job for it and drain the lake. It's not that expensive, and outside of the defeated enemies and 1 random water fountain, we don't combo with any of these at all. So as long as we hit every shot, we only make 133 objects, 3 of those being from the annoying bonus combo. Now with 9 spatulas, we can trade with Patrick and get access to Goo Lagoon. Once entering the area, much easier than in my previous challenge run, What was my character's name again?
Spongebob.
Ah, right. Thanks, Larry. Patrick then presses all the buttons around the area to set up and deal with the robot, dodging shiny objects and robots pretty easily, to be honest. I start popping the children's balloons and collecting the sock on the roof, and then being lied to by the game about where my last solid ground was. After that, I successfully rescue the last of the kids before climbing atop the tower with a skillful jump. I have to destroy 1 tiki in order to slip into the castle, meaning I obtain my first 2 shiny objects of the level, before using the fat guy to kill time until the water has lowered, and I can climb up the sandcastle perfectly fine. I panicked upon seeing a hammer above the goo, but thankfully they never jump off, so that's nice. Storming the sandcastles of Normandy, I nearly died to a single cannon shot, but some underwear managed to save my life, allowing me to make it up to the next spatula. And the next level, the caves. But now that I've unlocked this fast travel point, I walk back to pick up some stuff I missed, namely the sock above the exploding tikis and the one underneath the tarp. Through the caves I go, and unfortunately, I have to take a 2 shiny object piece, since otherwise my journey would end here. Once in the main zone the game wants me to explore, I have to take another one, but surprisingly enough, despite the tight bridges, the hammer enemies, this one two-piece by the platforms, and this one on a tiny platform are the only ones I have to pick up. Every other floating coin can be avoided, meaning I can grab the spatula without a single issue. I even backtracked to the sock and had no issues there, outside of a single attempt where a hammer hammered. Once at the carnival, I can actually access the entire thing, since while I need to destroy this robot, it doesn't actually drop any shiny objects, making this a net neutral for my bank account. Naturally, the carnival games are just out of the question, including the bungee jump I need to pay for, and the mission to destroy this duplicator. But I was able to find the sock atop the tent, and perhaps more insane, obtain this spatula under the pier by launching myself off the side at just the right angle and speed. So that's pretty cool. I can't destroy the enemies on the bumper boats for obvious reasons, but I can go to the island and take out the sunscreen bot. It does reward me with 15 shiny objects, but I can live with that if it means accessing the middle portion of Bikini Bottom. But before we head out, there's one last mission we can complete here, and it's the one for crossing the platforms. But how do we do that when we need to pay for the button to appear? Simple. We just don't. The button's collision is still here, even if the model for it isn't. No other button in the game acts like that, so if I just get the correct angle and positioning, I can press the button without ever paying for it, giving me access to yet another spatula, especially nice since there weren't even any shiny objects in my path. There are 0 shiny objects involved in or even as a reward for dealing with Sandy, so no issues there. There isn't an awful lot to do in Bikini Bottom 2, outside of obtaining the spatula atop the old folks' home, and the sock outside it. I do have to grab a single shiny object to make it into the building, but no doubt this will be worth it in the end. Another sock gets grabbed before I slither my way down to the Mermalair. Making sure to leap over the hidden shiny objects underneath the stairs, I can just run around the cowboy and ignore him entirely, though for a few seconds, all I heard was farts. I skipped the grappling hook mission by just jumping down the hole and grabbing the spatula, before making my way to the top of the entrance area and grabbing the spatula there. Once in the main area, I do the usual things like pressing the buttons to access the computer, no issue, grab the sock off the slide, even managed to get the spatula for helping Mermaid Man, no issue. But since I can't buy the ramp, I can't access the Barnacle Boy mission, which does stink since it's pretty easy, but yeah, whatever. I climb up to the Mermalair computer and get the spatula and the first button, before running off to the security tunnels. Nothing too interesting happened down here, the money is never placed in a way that makes it hard to avoid, so I can breeze through here pretty easily. Button pressed after a few tries, spatula grabbed, and I can move on to the rolling ballroom, which, fun fact, I beat very first try. Not even kidding, here is the full clip sped up, just so you can see my gaming skills. Raw talent. Grabbing it and the sock that's also in the room, I head out and realize that I can't get to the villain containment center. The fourth button is entirely out of range since it's located at the place with Barnacle Boy. So, that ain't happening. That's really bad because I'm just kidding. We absolutely can still get to the containment center. Run to the very edge of the platform, make a leap of faith, and twirl to conserve your jump height, then mash R1, and you'll get access to the boss fight no problem. I had some minor issues here and there, thanks to the hammers being hammers, but for the most part, it's fine. I just had to stay on the opposite side of the robots, outside of the end of the fight. Once Prawn is defeated, all the robots are instantly KO'd, which sends the money right to me. There is something I can do, that being skip the cutscene as fast as possible and open the pause menu and teleport away, but after a few attempts, however, the lowest I could get was 65 shiny objects gained. Sucks, but a small price to pay for as many spatulas as I got. Considering the high I was on, I decided the next logical step was to head to rock bottom and see what I can find down in the darkness. Once in the deep dark canyons, I start moving quickly to get revenge on this place for how it treated me last time. Grabbing the first painting, I head across the crumbling bridge while looking for a path forward to the museum. I can't make it up this platform since the robot in my way will murder me before I escape its sight, so instead, I have to platform across the large rocks here to hop over and start working on the actual level. By jumping onto the support beam here, I can hop onto the road and start moving along the intended path. I snag me another painting and sock, but have to reload when a bomb enemy kills an enemy off screen and the money is handed over to me. Rude. Doing all that again, but stealthier, I grab the sock, then go back to pressing buttons to create a path for Sandy. Unsure if she'll even get to use it, but you never know. Bouncing around the stage, I can only go so far before being blocked, either by money or a literal fence. So it's time to get creative. Sneak over here to where the sleepy time robots are, then bounce on this Texas sign that I didn't activate, then jump onto the ridge of this wall, which I can then walk onto to reach the rest of the level. Bounce up the toothbrushes and skillfully avoid any money, then glide and swing my way through the skies as Sandy. But apparently there's some enemy somewhere in the level that keeps dying and giving me money, and I can't find it. So instead of doing a flyover, I beeline my way for the museum to try that part out, grabbing a spatula along the way. Inside, there's lasers everywhere that combo me, lightning that launches me into the lasers, but more dangerously, money. I need to hit 4 buttons to shut off the lasers over here, and while the path was a bit tricky to figure out, I eventually did find it, even grabbing a sock on the lasers. The strategy that worked for me in the end was hitting the 2 on the right, then doubling back on myself and hitting the 2 on the left, since that runs the risk of hitting as few shiny objects as possible. With access to the rest of the museum now, even if it is covered in shiny objects, the best thing to do is to get high as fast as possible. Get too close to the lasers to say, hit a button early or grab a painting, and you might attract one of the enemies over, who will touch the lasers and die, and you already know the issue with that. To jump across the wall of lasers without picking up a single shiny object, you gotta climb up the tower of tires, then jump over the other tires to get over the lasers to safety. Platforming across the lights lets me show off just how good Sandy's aerial maneuverability is, this crap is insane, and is one of the most fun parts of the game. I then had to run down and press all the buttons carefully so as to turn off the lasers and make it so the dumb robots don't destroy themselves. Took me a bit to find the third one, but really that's my fault for being dumb. Once I know the robots won't kill themselves, I can grab the spatula in peace and continue exploring the level for anything I might have missed, that being a painting and 2 more socks. The slide is stupidly easy as Sandy, and once I get back on solid ground, I can start bouncing around for even more collectibles, like the 5th painting. This right here, this is our secret spot. We shall meet here yearly every September 6th. Never forget. I fly over and grab another spatula moneyless before grabbing another sock and continuing my exploration of the abyss. I start the laser mission since that should get some good rewards out of it, and I need as many spatulas as I can get. Platform 1 is no issue, though Sandy does get magnetized to the laser for a few seconds. The trick to swinging without collecting money is just to not complete the swing. Grabbing on refreshes your lasso glide, so grab on, hop off, and glide to a safe place. I collect the last missing painting while pressing the buttons, carefully moving through the missiles and tartar sauce. The last laser is protected by a duplicator, meaning I need to press the button without killing it, which is going to make grabbing it difficult. Add on the constant barrage from the tartar bot, and a green shiny object that's just begging to be grabbed, and this is going to be rough. I eventually figure out that what I need to do is kick the tartar guy once, not to kill him, but to make sure he can't hit me, line myself up properly, and then leap into the air for a mid-air attack, which manages to get me the button. I grab the spatula from Plankton before making my way to the exit. Unfortunately, since I alerted these enemies here, they reward me with some shiny objects, and from all my testing, they can't not be alerted to your position, which will cause them to explode, destroying one of them and rewarding you with the money. maybe it's possible to get past them without alerting them, but I decided to just take the money and move on, accepting this as a mandatory loss so I can grab the remaining spatulas and socks. Then for some reason I decided to go to Sand Mountain. For some reason. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking going to Sand Mountain. Literally everything here outside the one atop the ski lodge requires money. I thought that maybe one of them would be open, but no, they are all closed. This was dumb. So what are we supposed to do? Is the run over? Is there no more easy spatulas? Well, to answer those questions, I have a question for you. Want to see me break the game? The rules of this world are only enforced if you allow them to control you. Requirements and restrictions can be evaded if you have the proper technique, and I absolutely do. Head to the top of the police station and walk to this ledge right here, right by the line on the ground. Then leap off aimed at the chum bucket, twirl in midair, and you'll be caught on a boundary, and with the right luck, you'll be dropped off on the other side of the toll booth, letting you access Bikini Bottom 3 before paying the toll. There isn't a ton to do here, as all the levels require a bunch of spatulas to enter, or are money-making objectives like the battle inside the Krusty Krab, but we can enter Spongebob's dream, even if we have to collect 3 shiny objects to do so. Starting off our adventures in Dreamland is the Rolling Ball mission. It's not the hardest mission in the world, but it does take me a few tries to get either to the island without money, or dying, or to actually balance the ball. But eventually the ball plays nice, and I'm able to grab another spatula for the collection. Then we can slide down to Sandy's dream, and we can't progress to the rest of the dreams. Maybe Sandy's will be filled with spatulas we can get? Regardless of if it is, this level is going to be tough, since 90% of this level is one massive slide. That means money to avoid, boxes to not smash, and a tough time staying on the frickin' slide. After a lot of trail and area, I bank a checkpoint, that being this island with the Alamo building. We can't access the area way down there since we can't pay the fee, but I'll be starting from here from now on, as I continue attempting to make my way through. Sticking to the edges of the platforms and being ready to jump at a moment's notice is the way to go, but mostly, it's a game of memorizing. Where to go, when to jump, which direction to jump into, and trying not to get too frustrated with it. I can't collect the sock up here, or at least I couldn't after a number of attempts. It's a dangerous ride, but I do pull off a massive skip here and get to Sock Island, banking another checkpoint before hopping onto a tight, slim platform covered in money and boxes. From my experience, jumping to the left off the platform, then holding right to get back on, generally helps you avoid the incoming danger, while still keeping your speed and height up to avoid money. After many attempts, I make it to the skull thing filled with poop, and after getting through it, I swiftly leap and fly through my final challenge, grabbing the spatula and getting 2 spatulas closer to winning. Ah crap, we're still 5 off, even with Patrick's spatula. So we still need 5 more spatulas, so where in the world are we supposed to get them? I tried looking around for a spatula that I could actually acquire, but it seems like all my available options would either require a massive purchase, or were just out of my range. But I wasn't about to give up. I found an unclaimed spatula in Rock Bottom that, while I was forced to collect 55 shiny objects, it's better than some of my alternatives. Plus, I can spend 1,000 shiny objects to open a path to Squidward's house in the Dream World, grabbing the one atop it, and taking a stab at trying to go through Squidward's Dream World. Honestly, it wasn't too hard outside the normal challenge of Squidward's Dream, outside of this single 2 shiny object piece, but after that, I was able to grab the sock and the spatula on his nose, so go me. But we still need 2 more spatulas, and where are we supposed to find them? Simple. We break the game. By walking up to this spot here, you can trigger Hans to drag you away kicking and screaming. But if you mash the confirm button, then Spongebob gets dragged under the ground before being placed back down. Repeat the process, and now instead of being dragged away, I'm brought right to Jellyfish Fields. Now what did that do? Well, the best way to show you is to jump off this cliff to grab the spatula we're supposed to die for. Line up the jump, grab the spatula, and instead of being grabbed by Hans, I collect the spatula no problem. This is Hans disabling, where so long as we don't get grabbed by him again on sand, Hans is gone, meaning we can do all kinds of skips, such as jumping to grab the other bungee spatula in Sand Mountain, pushing us up to the 40 required to fight Robo Patrick. Fight's pretty easy and there's no shiny objects for us to grab, so we can tell Plankton he's a nerd who loves saying the word next pretty easily. Now we're stuck again, so it's time to get desperate. I grab the spatula in the chum bucket and the one atop it, then head to Jellyfish Fields Lake to walk back to get another spatula. I was forced to get 3 shiny objects, but that's a small price I'm willing to pay. Using the cruise bubble we unlocked for beating the boss, I can press the button and grab the hidden spatula for free. Next, I decide to take out the robots in the bumper boats, because the small amount of money gained is worth it when compared to larger amounts I'd get in other spatulas. Taking them all out without any combos gets me 130 shiny objects, which is a shame, but hey, a spatula is a spatula. Next up, I went to Rock Bottom to pick up another spatula I apparently forgot, the one for sliding down you get from Mr. Krabs, and that one was pretty easy as well. So now I've got all but 3 socks from Rock Bottom, which is cool. I head to the Mermalair, but apparently warping right to the computer spawns you on 3 shiny objects, so don't do that. Ever. Getting desperate, I head to downtown Bikini Bottom and destroy the Tiki Towers to access the spatula there, though I did end up getting an additional 1 shiny object that was not required, so in total, this one spatula earned the run 740 shiny objects, and me 741, so whoops. With that much money, I just need to destroy 1 more tower for an additional 175, which, before anyone says I can't do math, the additional 40 shiny objects from earlier came from the fact that when one of the cannons fired, they hit a sneaky tiki and made an even bigger combo. Regardless, with this, I can spend the 1000 to get access to Mr. Krabs' Dream. Now Mr. Krabs' Dream is useless to us, but by using the air boost from getting damaged by this spike, we can get to Patrick's Dream and the Across the Dreamscape spatula. That's an instant +2 spatulas. I entered Mr. Krabs' Dream to grab the stock inside, but I forgot that to introduce the burger idea to the player, the game destroys a fodder, forcing upon me 5 shiny objects. Unbelievable. I spent some time screwing around in the background since Hans can't hold me down here, before getting the sock and getting out of here. I also had the idea to use the 99 coins I still have to unlock the sock in Spongebob's house, though it did get me 14 more money, but whatever, sock obtained. Then I grabbed the money and had to reload save, which meant I had to redo all that stuff all over again. Ugh! I then grabbed the sock from behind the Krusty Krab, which gave me my 10th sock, meaning I could get my 50th spatula, and move on to the next level, Kelp Forest. Kelp Forest is dark, it's scary, and it has one of my favorite songs in the entire game, so sue me. To even get to the level, you need to grab a 1-piece coin, which stinks, and the level is dotted in shiny objects in places you can't really see, so that sucks. But I don't foresee the objectives being too hard, all things considered. Wandering the woods, I look out for campers who may be lost, grab my first spatula here, find my first camper at the cost of a 2 pence shiny object, then track down another one for entirely free, so that's cool. I swap to Patrick to do some throwing, grabbing this ice fruit to grab the sock, then racing back to shore. Then it was time to try and get across to the Kelp Caves, and to be honest, doing the actual mission sucks. Also, it might not even be possible since I don't remember where the 3rd stone is. Instead, there's a very easy skip that I'm kinda surprised the devs didn't catch. Grab the first stone, which, yes, requires a 2-point shiny object, then head over here to the side as Spongebob to open the box. Use the box to bring Patrick here, grab the stone, then line up your jump to bring it back. Throw the stone atop the first stone, and then you can just leap, climb up the edge, and grab the spatula. Also, don't leave the cave. It gives you a shiny object you don't need, so always teleport out of the cave. Afterwards, I grab the 2 campers for Mrs. Puff's quest, and grab the spatula for crossing the frozen lake. Once in the caves proper, you can easily access the latter half by jumping off the box, onto the fish light, and then onto the ledge for absolutely free. I spent a long time bouncing around, finding the 5 crystals, the camper, and pressing all the buttons. It was boring and tedious. So I'll just skip all that and just let you know that I had to grab 1 piece here, 1 piece here, and the 1 and 2 piece right here. Other than that, it was fine. I grabbed the spatula at the end, then I grabbed the last crystal up in that secret crevice with the last bouncy flower. 1 more spatula down, great for me. Next up, the slide. And if I can be real, it's super late when I'm writing this script, so here's just the full slide attempt. From top to bottom, be amazed at my gaming skills. Grabbing the last camper requires an annoying amount of small money that I'm forced to grab. Namely 1 here, 2 from landing there, another 1 from this launch pad, and 1 from the final launch pad. Then I had to do a very annoying race to make sure this fruit didn't die on the way, but I did manage it. Although the platform I landed on forced me to collect 4 more shiny objects. The economy is in shambles. That's another level I got all the spatulas in, but right now I can't access the next level. So what do I do now to get 2 more spatulas? Well, though I don't want to, I had to grind money. Overall, I grinded 2,030 shiny objects in order to pick up enough money to unlock the Sea Needle, which gave me access to the last 2 wheels for Mrs. Puff, as well as the Cruise Bubble mission, and a sock for Patrick. That's 60, meaning now I can access the Dutchman's graveyard. Upon arriving, I got right to work, moving pillars to create a path forward, and finding just how annoying this stage is going to be. Shiny objects are placed on tiny platforms, and chucks are everywhere to either put constant pressure on us, or knock us into the instant death goo, or the instant death money. So that's fun. Worst of all, if I die at any point, the automatic checkpoint drops me right on some money, so I spent plenty of time at the very first challenge of this place, resetting due to dying, or resetting due to grabbing money. A good omen for what's going to happen soon. After many resets, I made it through to the top of the level, grabbing the spatula and allowing me to continue on to the next level.
Ahoy there, Mr. Squidward! Swap the poop deck!
Setup. I spent some time swinging and flinging myself around the broken ships, and even do a pretty cool skip as Sandy, which led me to dropping into this toxic pool, which is actually fake, and I grabbed the spatula that would normally have cost me thousands of shiny objects, as well as the one at the very top of the level. I also managed to get onto the boat to move to the next level without grabbing the shiny object, so that's awesome.
Ahoy there, Spongebob! Swap the poop deck!
Punchline. Once arriving at the ship battle, just getting onto the ship is a challenge, thanks to this tight jump with a chuck harassing me the entire time. Crossing to the other side is a challenge as well, since if this sludge guy is in the way, you're basically guaranteed to get launched off. Once I made it there, not even then was I safe, as tons of hammers and crates needed to be dodged, but it was made much easier as I was able to become Sandy, which meant I had access to her OP glide and the Texas symbols around the map. I used them to grab the second button, then this sock that's kind of just hanging out in the air, then to get launched into the aether by a hammer. Rude. Third button pressed, then fourth, and now I can access the boss fight. How? Well, by pressing the button. Even if the cannons didn't work, I can still teleport to the boss fight regardless, so it's time to kick his butt as Sandy. Like every other boss outside of Prawn, there's no money involved in the Flying Dutchman fight, so that's an easy spatula right there. I tried going back for the spatula through the goo, but the money investment makes that not a possibility right now, since I need to pay almost 3,000 just for one spatula, not to mention whatever else is dotted along the path. Especially when I can just jump off the bow of this ship here to get one for free. We need 9 more spatulas to complete the game, so I started making sure that I had everything I possibly could, like bouncing to the top of the pirate ship to grab the spatula up there to get to 6-7 spatulas. But now, how do I get the remaining ones? Well, for starters, I head over to Sandy's house to deal with the enemies. It shouldn't reward me with too many shiny objects. I have to grab one just to enter though, then make sure I don't combo a single time. In order to hit the final total of plus 350 shiny objects. Next, I decided to go clear out the Krusty Krab with a similar mentality. No combos. And while I did get a few combos because enemies just wouldn't not stick close to one another, I did eventually clear it out, and grabbed the sock for wrecking the place up to the tune of plus 542, counting the freestanding ones I had to pick up to clear everything out. Next, I went and did the Mr. Krabs Dream Challenge because while it is hard and a total money sink, it is a spatula, and the amount of money can be mitigated if you take out 5 fodder, climb the bridge, then snipe all the duplicators in order to prevent reinforcements. This still racked up quite the payout, however, as I gained 1,149 shiny objects, which hurt me soul to get that much money. Thankfully, now I can go to Jellyfish Fields and open the clam with that 2,000, hopefully giving me access to 3 brand new spatulas, and maybe more if I grab some socks along the way. The climb up was pretty annoying, but mostly it just requires a lot of type jumps to get to places. And since it was the very first level, it only made me feel more stupid for failing them. Made even more frustrating when you remember that there are hammers below me and goo. So that's just a winning combo. I grab a nearby sock while trying to find a way to either lure them away or sneak by, and as usual, running as fast as physically possible is the trick to get past this. I finally make it to the top of the mountain, grab the spatula, then bank the checkpoint of walking through the gate so I can teleport here later. Then I punch King Jellyfish in the face 3 times, grab the jelly, and I'm treated to another goddamn slide. This one, thankfully, is pretty easy. My first go around, I grab the sock, then teleport back to grab the other sock just below the entrance to the fight. Then teleport back to slide on down for the 2 spatulas you can get here. It wasn't too hard, all things considered, and there wasn't even a wall of bricks to smash, so I made it through without collecting a single shiny object. I do need to try it again since I missed grabbing the spatula at first, but it did let me hear unused dialogue, that being Larry telling you about the spatula before you grab it for real, which I've never done. That's 3 spatulas down, meaning all I need is 2 more and I can finish this game. I eventually, after not thinking of much that I could do, tackle the Sea Needle's Tiki problem. And thanks to avoiding a good chunk of the money, and not comboing as best I could, I got the spatula for only 388 shiny objects. Then all I had to do was go to the Dutchman's graveyard to grab 2 very easy socks. Curse the person who placed 4 shiny objects in range of the player when they take this boat, which is going on the Cal counter, and then give 10 socks to Patrick to unlock the final level of the game, the Chum Labs. The first phase of the boss fight is nothing notable. It's another one where we wait for the enemy to freeze, smack its weak point, and then wait for another chance. The biggest issue really is just Roboplankton firing lasers at us with his stupid chair thing. That was a pain to deal with. However, things get way more interesting once that phase is done, and we enter both phase 2 and the robot itself. Because this is an enemy gauntlet. The way the fight normally plays out is that you have to rush forward, defeat the enemies on each platform, then smack Roboplankton, which gives you access to a bar that you can destroy to summon a platform that takes you to the next wave. This, of course, involves a ton of money to be gained, which is really going to put a damper on the finale of this challenge. Or will it? If you remember correctly, Hans is disabled, so we technically have access to the entire boss arena at first. And while our range is low due to Spongebob's pretty bad ups, we just have to position ourselves correctly. Defeat the first wave quickly with a bubble ball to prevent more than one enemy from spawning, getting 50 from the Duplicatortron and 30 from the Tartar bot. Rocket Roboplankton, and then instead of jumping onto the next platform, drop down and take out this light here, which takes you to the final area of destroying the 3 lights in the robot's head, which, yes, ends the fight with only 80 shiny objects gained, and the game is over. So our final total for Battle for Bikini Bottom, including the 0 required to escape the Sponge Dome, if you were curious, is
7,820 7,779. If you subtract the 41 Cal picked up that were not necessary.
Honestly, not as high as I was expecting it. If you were curious, that's actually only enough to buy 2 spatulas from Mr. Krabs, and I guarantee there's ways to cut down on that. I even found a way to cut down the total while collecting B-roll footage for the video. Apparently, if you stand on the very edge of the wall that allows you to wall jump up to the security system, you can fire a cruise missile and hit the final override button, getting you a spatula entirely for free, either by not being a stupid dumb idiot like me and avoiding more shiny objects, or there being better paths to the spatulas and the like. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hey, I plan on putting out more challenge runs in the future, so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, maybe stick around, drop a subscribe so you'll see whenever they come out. And I'll see you nerds next time.